Hello folks, Sam Owens here, and I have a product that is going to help with recharging or maintaining your air conditioner system. This is a VEVOR manifold gauge set. All of the hoses and connections you need to service your air conditioner. Let's open it up and see what we get in it. But I am going to bring out a VEVOR compressor, actually it's not a compressor, it's a vacuum pump, and we will just do a demonstration of connecting it up. So this is what you get, and let me just kind of put this up here like this. And they give you a user manual. I'm going to address that in a moment. But right in the lid, you get the hoses. This is universal color coding. You get 3 of them. You get a blue, you get a yellow, and a red. And both of the ends are the same. And I'll just look right here. This is the end without the Schrader valve, and this will go toward the manifold. And this is a Schrader valve activator in there, where you screw it onto something with a Schrader valve, and this will activate it, allowing product to flow. So it's important. And first thing I want to say, if you're not familiar with air conditioning theory of operation, there's a whole lot to know before you can really service an air conditioning system proficiently. You might get it to work, but it's not going to be correct unless you observe temperature. What I'm trying to point out is there's a lot to know other than getting a can of Freon and popping it into the system. So keep that in mind. And but for the professionals that know what they're doing, I know they're looking for a gauge set. I'm sure this is going to do the job. In addition to the hoses, you get the manifold right here. It's got the blue gauge and the red gauge and the control knob, which is going to allow product or air to move back and forth through the different valves. And you have a vacuum line right here. This is product's going to come into the manifold from the center one. One other thing is it's hard to deal with this laying down. You need it kind of hanging up, and they give you a little swivel hook. And what you do is kind of put this in there like this, and kind of got coarse thread, and with your little fingers, and you don't have to get it super tight, just far enough to do that. And see, you can hang it somewhere. I got a little screw up there that I can hang it, and then I can quickly see it. Okay, in addition to that, you get a little valve, a piercing valve for a can of Freon right here, that you can hook the yellow hose up to it and connect this to the refrigerant and administer it to the system of the air conditioner. You get this little valve right here and these little white things. I'm not exactly sure of how you use it, but I think you put it on this part right here, because in the drawing they show a Schrader valve is right there, and I think that's what you do, and this would go on there, I believe. So you get that and some little white duties. And here are your connectors to the air conditioner system. Low side is blue, so that'll go on this side with the blue cord or hose. And you also get a high side, which is red, that'll go onto the red cord. And what you need to know is, if you're not familiar, is the red side is larger So you can't get these on the wrong one. They go on, this will only go on to the high side, red, and this will go on to the low side. Low side is smaller in diameter. And there's a valve inside of here that if you just connect this like to the red, and you want to always put this side toward your little valve here, and you screw this on, and make sure you get it on straight, there. And then when you get it on, it should, there's a little seal up in there. Okay, and then this will go on to the red side. Now this is the high side, which is going to be the higher pressure. Okay, and then we're going to put the low side, blue, to its side. And again, I'll use this particular side, the Schrader valve side, and screw that on there. And these little covers protect the threads. And this one, again, you get this particular one, and this is what's going to pull the vacuum. This is going to go to your vacuum pump, and this is what's going to give a vacuum to pull all of the air out of your air conditioner system. Now, there's environmental controls that says you can't just vacuum out the Freon using a vacuum pump and discharging it in the atmosphere. Get that out of your mind. You need a recovery tank. So if you don't have a recovery tank, you can't really legally service an air conditioner. You have to capture that Freon that's in the system, and then you can use the vacuum pump to evacuate all of the air out of the system. And sometimes you can take it to places and they will recover the Freon so that you can do the rest of the job yourself of vacuuming out the air in the system. Now, one thing I want to say before you use the manifold to apply Freon to the air conditioning system is there's a procedure in here to purge the manifold of air, and so it's detailed and tells you exactly how to open the valves and crack the valves and allow Freon to go into the system and push the air out. So I would say read and understand this before you go too far to get the maximum performance out of your gauge set and to properly administer refrigerant to your air conditioning system. This is a VEVOR 3.5, and I'm just going to go ahead and plug it in. It's got a power switch here, and on the pump, all its job is to do is pull out a vacuum of air. And so right here is one connector that will fit this hose, and then I screw this on. Now, just to evacuate the air out of an air conditioning system is fine to use this, and you would use it on the low side, I understand, and you'd put this on the low side valve in your car, and I think the high is mounted up higher, but just go by fit. This one will fit on only one of them, and that's where it's got to go, and this is the blue. And you can you open this up so that when you slip it on there, it's spring loaded, it'll slip onto the Schrader valve of the car, and then it'll snap in place. But you want this all the way out so that it doesn't pierce the Schrader valve, and it wouldn't hurt anything because there's no pressure if you've already had the Freon all evacuated out. It's just sitting there empty. Now, with this on there, I turn this on and you're going to see that it's going to pull a vacuum, but it's not going to come, anything is going to go in here because there's a valve inside of this that gets deactivated when you put it on the Schrader valve. That's when it pushes it up and opens it up. So right now it's just going to pull a vacuum up to this valve. So let's turn it on. And right there, I'm pulling a vacuum. Air is coming out of this gauge because I've got it opened up, and it's minus 30 psi. This is a positive gauge going around this way. When it goes to the green, it's a vacuum. So when the needle moves that way, it's a vacuum. Let's turn her off and let me just let it, okay, there. Okay, see, when I turn this on, I'm gonna close this. All right, now I'm gonna open this up, and there, I can stop it. So I could pull how much vacuum I want. Now it's not pulling any vacuum at all on here because I can't get it to operate until I put it on the valve. But if I had it on the valve in my car, which I'm not going to do because I don't want to mess with my air conditioning, it would start pumping out all of the air in the air conditioner system. And that's the objective you want to do, is get all of that air out. Then you can turn this off, turn your pump off, and then take this off. Actually, then you could go through and recharge using this onto here. It's just basic air conditioning. And let's see, this would go in here. And if you have this on your can, there's a hole. You want to make sure this is all the way open. And then you could have it on your can, and then when you're ready, you can press it there, and it'll pierce the can, and the can is under pressure. It would go through here, through this, and into your system, and the can would actually pump up would be the pressure that's pressing on the Freon to put it in your system. Now, one thing about this is there's 4 different types of Freon that this covers, and right here they are. It's hard to see them. Let me look. It really is hard for me to see it and show it. What I'm going to do is go to the manual, and it'll show the ones that we want to look at. Right here, refrigerants, R134A, R22, R12, and R502. And the pressure ranges for this system, manifold, and the gauges are on the low side, minus 30, that's the vacuum, up to 350 psi, that's pressure. And 0 to 500 psi on high side. You don't have vacuum on the high side, only on the low side. So there you go in a nutshell, just some basics. But if you're unfamiliar with all of this, you might want to read up or get some help to do this properly. But this is the first step, and the tools you need to accomplish this is a manifold set. And right here is a good one from VEVOR, and it's got everything you need for using the manifold set. Please read the whole entire user manual. So I hope this has helped you a little bit, and I want to thank you very much for watching my video.